because, and this is not throwing shade at anybody, but it's such a beautiful um, experience to encounter your brand and what you bring to the table. Like, you're so knowledgeable. You have the strength of 1,000 women, and your cause is noted. So it has to be. I feel like people should feel honored to be a part of that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it all.
That's so sweet. Well, if anybody, on my podcast or on my live stream doesn't really know my story, I'll give you my quick little blurb. I was in the military. I served in the military for a little over 7 years. While I was serving, I had a sexual trauma happen. I didn't realize that I was suffering from PTSD until I came out. Until I really was out for a while. I realized that I wasn't able to leave the house. I realized that, and these things just slowly started happening. And then when I realized I was in the bubble, I was like, no, I don't want to be here. And
Mm.
I remember the day, Blossom, that I walked into the therapist. And I had never gone to this therapist. I've never do it. I think I just Googled it. And I walked in and I have a history of, trying to commit suicide and being in the psych and all the stuff of being depression and stuff like that. So I went to the therapist and said, "You have to help me or I'm jumping off the bridge." Like, you have to help me today. Like, we have to fix this today or I'm
Um,
going to jump. And that woman saved my life. And I tell her all the time. But she saved my life. She legit sat down with me and was like, "Not today. Not today, you're not. You're not doing that." But the kindest thing that she said, because there's such power in words, the kindest thing that she said was, she said to me, "I see you."
mm.
Right. And
Okay, go ahead.
when
I
she said that to me, I
on
was
that.
just like, I'm sorry.
I said I want to touch base on that. Don't let me forget. I see
Oh,
you. I want to
I
touch
see
base
you.
on that. You're done. Yeah, it's talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
So when she said that to me, and they're simple words, when I walked into that therapy, into the therapist, and she said, "I see you," I it paused me because I
Mhm.
had been walking around just in
Mhm.
this fog. And you could see it in my appearance of me not dressing right. You could see it in my actions. You could see it in all of these different ways inside of my life. And I didn't realize that people could see me, and that was so big for me, those words. And our discussion today is really about this power of words and how they can just really take someone out of a space of trauma or learn to love yourself again through words. There's so many, it's just giving me chills even talking about that, right? um and I want to touch on that today, of the power of words, right? But I do want to, before I go into my questions, I do want you to touch on "I see you." I do want you to touch on that.
So when you tell somebody I see you and you mean it
Mhm.
genuinely, that's instant healing for the person that's hearing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree
Instant.
100%. As soon as you say that, "I see you," it pops you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You out of it. Absolutely. So let's start easy. The question's easy.
Hmm.
And I just want you to tell me and my listeners, what is your name and where are you from?
Okay, so my name is Blossom Nicole, and I'm a San Diego, California native. I moved to Pittsburgh probably it's 16 years ago now, I believe.
Mm,
So, but before I moved to Pittsburgh, I was a college student, um, and my major was uh, uh, law. I wanted to go into law. That switched. I ended up going into business, And I did not graduate in San Diego. I actually came to Pittsburgh and I graduated here. And then I wanted to be a nurse. And
Mhm.
if I've actually, Pittsburgh has allowed me to tap more into my artist side because as a young adolescent, one of the things or some of the things that I loved doing was um, I loved art. I loved drawing. A lot of people don't know that about me because,
I did not.
I'm so busy and it takes a lot. When you're an artist, it takes a lot. So um I I don't I don't do I don't do the drawings anymore, but when I see other people do their art, it excites me. Another form of art that I love is dance. When I was younger, I was always in somebody's dance studio learning hip hop or tap or, um, just uh, I used to love doing a lot of folk dancing, and cultural dancing. I learned a lot of African dance. So I was pretty involved in that space, but also poetry. One of the things that I loved about poetry is that I could put on paper what I couldn't say to people. And even as a young child, I noticed that when I would write something, it would hit people a little bit harder. So, and I learned that from a very, very young age. I entered contests and I won them because I was able to decipher different words to use and different tonalities to use when so I learned that at a very, very young age. Now, like I said, I've involved myself in many different pieces of art over the years, but poetry seems to be my main focus, my main love. It seems to give me more satisfaction probably than any other thing. Um, Aside, of course, from God, my parents, my man, my kids, those things give me greater, but poetry seems to be like right there because I feel like those things work because I have poetry. Now,
Mhm.
we discussed a little earlier about how you know, words are power. That's where I find power is in my poetry, in other people's poetry. Um,
I love
so
that.
yeah,
I
poetry
love
is like, yes, it's a big deal in my life for
So I don't know
so
if
many
you
different reasons.
so there's a reason why I wanted to bring you on here. Like
But
that's
I don't think I've ever told you this, but I'm also a published author. I wrote a book
didn't know
back
that.
in 2013. It's called Roses from Stones. Now, ever since I wrote that book, I've talked to so many people, many different people that did not know me then. They know me now, but they didn't know me then. And they don't know anything about my book, but they'll send me poems about roses and stones. And that's how I know I'm where I'm supposed to be because they confirm it. That book was a manifestation of where I am
I love that. I did not know that you had a book. I did not know
now.
that. I see. I learned you're an artist, and you know who came to mind when I think of some great artists. You actually did an ode to him. Your, I believe, a Facebook page, Jordan.
Uh,
Oh my God, he's
uh,
he's fantastic.
yes,
He's
that's
a
my
fantastic artist. Like oh man, I don't even want to. I want to speak his name just because I have to because I just
uh,
thought of
uh,
Natif, wonderful artist.
oh wow, yeah.
Natif, a wonderful artist. I had to speak his name. Just a beautiful, beautiful work, right? And we have such art, this artistry of expression. Even him, when I used to, I did an art class, one art class with him, and he like sat down and taught me. Even him, the expression in his art, the
Mm,
way that he did his brushstrokes, the way that everything, it was so therapeutic, right?
mm,
Right. There was such power there. Uh my I guess one of the things, let's look at this. Oh, we were talking about dance as therapy too. I definitely agree. I will go into my house, blast my music, and just dance.
Mm,
Just release it. Cry
mm,
my eyes out over some song that just
mm,
crazy and release it. So there's so many different forms of ways that we can be therapeutic. But I have to say, my favorite way is definitely words. I know that you don't know this about me, but
mm,
I actually had my own poetry spot. I had my own
mm.
poetry spot that brought in over 500 people.
Yes, you
I
said.
I used to
We
have a
talked about
poetry.
this. We
Yep,
talked.
I used to have a big poetry spot in California. I owned my own. When I was in the military, I did poetry. I was big into the poetry world. Writing, oh my God, I have novels that are still inside of my novels I've written and poetry I've written all over the place. But what happened was the thing about poetry and words, and I don't know if you could understand this, is that you have to be honest with yourself when writing. It is such a therapeutic thing because you can't lie on words. There's no one to lie to when you're writing. You have to pour out your authentic self on paper. That's why a lot of writers I found is when they're writing, you don't feel it, right? Because they're not being honest. They're not being as honest on that paper. You have to be honest on the paper. And for me, after my trauma, I couldn't be honest on paper anymore. I couldn't I couldn't even explain my own feelings of how I felt about anything. So my poems didn't feel right anymore. My words didn't feel right anymore. And I've written so many poems since. I've written words since, but it's not the same. Do you
Mhm.
feel like you can get like, have you ever gotten like that? Like, wait a second, I have to be honest in these words and I can't.
Absolutely. It's a battle which I have conquered. Now when you tell me how much you how much you love poetry, because I remember that's one of the first conversations that we
Mhm,
had, you and I, was about what you had, what you did tell me. You told me in the
mhm,
very beginning, you said one of
mhm.
these days I'm gonna get back to it, but for now
Right.
I'm at a standstill because of, and I don't think we got into the depth of it, but now I understand.
Yeah, there was so much
But
time.
I also feel very connected to what you said when you said that when you write, you have to feel what you're writing. Otherwise, it's it's like you're lying to yourself. And one of the things we can never do is lie to ourselves. I lately, anytime I need to get a poem out about some real internal depression type stuff, anytime I need to do that, I talk to myself. I look in the mirror and I freestyle. And before I know it, tears are rolling down my face.
Mhm.
But all I can think to myself is, this is the healing that I needed. This is
Yep.
the time and the self care that I needed for myself in order to reach into those dark spaces that nobody sees.
Mhm.
In that space, you can't have anything other than honesty. And in that space, you can't have anything other than growth, where you sort of become aware, more aware of yourself. And when you're more aware of yourself, it's so much easier to see that we're connected to everybody else.
Yep.
And when we're connected to the bigger picture, that's how we become less involved in ourselves and more involved in delivering power to those around us.
Mhm.
Empowering ourselves first and then giving that to other people. Because we could very well be selfish, right? We could be selfish about what we learned. We could be selfish about, you know, our journey, not telling people about our journey because we're too scared that they may judge us, you know, but the journey is where the healing happens. You look back and you say, "Oh my God, how in the world did I get through that? How in the world did I do that? I
Mhm.
did it." So why can't you share that journey with somebody else and say, you know what? Because at the end of the day, nothing under the sun is new. Everything has been circulated
Mhm.
more times than we can count. Anything that we're dealing with now has been dealt with ages and generations ago.
Yep. Yep. That.
So if we recognize that and we take the time to become aware of ourselves and
Mhm.
aware of our environment, then the petty shit, excuse my French, it
Don't
doesn't matter.
finish.
And all you could do is grow. All you could do is grow from there. So, you know, the words, the expression, those things make you, you know, especially like one of the things that I like to do is I like to create environments where people can share their word and they can share what's important to them and they can talk about, you know, whatever they want to talk about. I love having those spaces because when they're healing and when they're going through something later on, they see my face as a piece
Mhm.
to the puzzle, only a tiny piece to the puzzle that they're trying to finish. That to me is bigger and greater than money alone.
Oh man, yes, I so agree. Absolutely, way bigger. That I 100% agree. I'm sorry for yeah, 100%. Yes, absolutely. I think that we, yeah, I could go on and on about that.
So I'm getting
Definitely
way
agree.
off track. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. But that's okay. No, I want I'll tell you right now, my followers are loving it right now. They are listening to you. They are hearing what you are saying. I'm sure they get tired of listening to me all the time. So they are definitely listening to you. They are definitely yeah, enjoying the conversation. I want to get into though, Blossom, I want to get into a little bit about self-love, right? We talked
Mhm.
about the power of words and you know, how did you find, what does that look for to you? How did you get into that relationship with loving words? Um, but can you describe how you self-love? Like, how do you love on yourself?
Well, one of the things that I lacked in my younger days um, was setting boundaries.
Mm.
Um, you know, what I would do is I would let things fester and then I would explode. You know,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
So,
hadn't mastered, you know, my emotions and everything else. So, um, self love is making it so that you don't have to explode.
mhm,
Self love is preparing yourself mentally.
yeah, I like that. I like that way that you put that. Self love to me is definitely the same. I
Yeah.
think for me, when you think about it that way, anything can be self love, right?
Yes.
From
Yes.
something like
Anything, honey. Yes. Yes.
like I
Don't
can
get
just
me
write
excited on this
from
thing. Why do you do this to me?
every everything can be self love, right? So I
Yes.
ask this question to
Everything.
every single person. I ask this question all the time. I say, how do you self love? And I would love for more women to get into this thing, and men to get this thing of saying, hello, how'd you self love today?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That being a regular thing amongst friends, amongst colleagues, right? How are you going to
Mhm.
self love today? Not what are you doing? How are you going to self love today?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? That we need to start getting into a habit of asking each other this, of trying of getting that dialogue going. Because each time that I asked, how do you self love? Now, you knew I was going to ask that question. And you
Mhm.
had the, or whatever, you kind of realize what this is about, right? But
Mhm.
when I'm in the streets and I'm asking someone, how do you self love? The look on their face is normally
Mhm.
like, what?
Yeah.
Self love? Or, dag, I haven't self loved in a long time. Or
Mhm.
they realize this, right? And I talk about it on my live all the time is learning how to love yourself before getting into a relationship, learning
Mhm.
to genuinely fall in love with you before
Mhm.
dating, right? And that's really, really important. Like,
Right. And
me.
you know what? You mentioned that, and relationships can be a blessing, they can be a curse. And I think
Mhm,
they're mostly a curse when you don't know how to self love,
mhm,
because you can't find a person that mirrors that energy if you don't have it.
mhm,
How can someone mirror that if you don't have it? If you love yourself, then you're going to attract what you are.
mhm.
It
Yep.
has to be something that's worked on, and that's why a lot of people find that they are single.
Mm,
It's because the your environment waves with you. You don't wave with your environment. You are the power. So if you're depleted, if you have nothing to give, then your environment hears that and
mhm,
says, no, you don't need a man right now. You don't need a
mhm.
woman right now. But then we try to reject that.
Yep. Yep,
And
yep.
and we're all victims. We're all victims.
Boundaries definitely were huge. Boundaries are, are huge. We're all victims, yes. Boundaries are definitely huge. Um, I definitely will say my favorite word is no. Uh,
Mm.
and now what I've learned is not even to say the word no. I just don't.
Oh.
I just don't. Like, I don't, I rather just, I just don't. Like, I just
I
realize.
I always envision with you though, because of who you are,
Mhm.
you say no lovingly with a simple explanation, and if somebody doesn't respect it, then they must be stupid.
Yeah, the power in the word no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned that really early in my on my journey, like the power of no. Like, nah, no, thank you. No, I'm not really into that. Like, I've learned that. That was a learn because before I was like, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. But
But that no is
have
my
you
self love. That no
yeah,
is my self love. That's my self love. That's it.
uh-huh. And
It's not like,
haven't you realized or seen that it's so much more peaceful?
oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can tell you a story right now, girl. Yes. I find that once I learned how to say no and I was strong in my no, like that's not for me. Everything the two things I learned is no and everything is not for me.
Yeah.
Once I figured out and learned that, I was good. Love I legit can be in my own space doing my own thing. I am in
Yeah.
love with me.
Oh,
like
I see.
like
And
every
that
single
and
hair
that
goes.
and that yes, and you have no idea the aura that circles around you. So you're nothing is going to penetrate that.
No, no.
You set yourself up for protection.
And I love my friends and I love the people I surround myself with and I want to be around them. But Bloss, people like, I haven't seen you in a long time. Where you
Yeah.
been at?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Self love and saying no, sitting in my house because I have anxiety and loving on me and being good about myself. I'm isolated.
Oh, I got
But
it.
a lot of
And
people
then you
don't,
know what? Your skin is so much prettier when you do things so.
right? You don't have that stress. You're just like, all right, I'm about to bounce.
Like,
I'm
wait,
leaving.
people be like, wait, how old are you? 21 though? And you're like, no, but I'll stick to the 21 though, if you must say so.
Of course. People ask me all the time, oh my God, you're almost 40?
Oh
Yes.
God.
Yes,
Yes.
I am.
That's
And
crazy.
it's because I don't I let all that drama and stuff go. A while ago, a long while ago, I realized that the only person that I mean, I'm not saying that people don't give a fuck about me. I don't want to say that because I know people genuinely care about me. But the only person that truly got my back is me. So
Mm,
I love on me,
yeah.
and I need to be there for me.
Yeah.
But we had a discussion a couple when I was on my live stream about your younger self, right? And your younger self is always a part of you. And for years, you may deny this younger self, but this younger self is always there. And you still have to be there for that younger version of yourself. You ever go to a restaurant and know you don't got no business eating that big chocolate cake, and the younger
Mm,
self in you is like, "Yeah, I want the cake. Give me the
mhm.
fucking cake." And
Right.
you're like, "No, no, not today. We are not eating this cake." Right? So your
Right.
younger self is always inside you,
Yes.
that childish nature of that person. So we need to learn to embrace
Mm,
all of ourselves. There's this
yeah.
book. I have been talking about this book nonstop. I'm sure
Mm.
people need to pick it up and read it. It is not that big of a read. It's called The Existential King. It is literally my book
Mm.
here. The book is about finding kinkiness in ordinary regular things,
Ah.
right? And how we are kinky about things that are just regular and how we are turned on by these things. But then we deny ourselves and we feel shame about that turn on. For instance, my binge watching. I love binge watching or I'm sorry, The Rain. I love this. I will binge watch all day long. I don't care. Like I'll just watch it.
Uh-huh.
And and I feel shame about this because I'm like, dang, I was supposed to bake, or I was could have done this, or I could have so then I feel
Mhm.
shame. And then
Mhm.
I stopped doing what I enjoy. So
Mm.
I stop enjoying my shows. I start looking at
Mm.
it and physically start thinking about it as a negative thing. And then I stop doing
Mm.
things that I enjoy. It is like a never ending pattern, right? It's
Mm.
just like this long pattern of things that I used to enjoy that I don't do anymore
So then,
because
so how are you getting past that barrier then?
it's a struggle. My new thing I'm working on, not feeling shame about things that I enjoy and being able like smoking, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I love marijuana. Shout
Mhm.
out shout out to the green. Um,
Mhm.
love marijuana, love smoking it, but
Mhm.
I feel so much better when I'm smoking it. My anxiety is
Mm.
not there smoking it, but I
Mhm.
smoke it. I feel shame
Why?
because I know that it messes up the lungs and I know the science behind it and I shouldn't be smoking. I should be just eating it and I have an edibles company and I should be
Mhm.
smoking weed because I have an edibles company and I should be eating the weed. And it's all these thoughts.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
being able to love that part of myself is
Mhm.
where I'm at now. And I
Oh.
find that even in relationships or friendships, this happens where maybe the person changes. They're not the same as they were when you first met them. And you have to learn to love this new part of this person,
Mhm.
right? Maybe they were really on the track to be a great musician, but then they changed there and then they wanted just to be a teacher.
Mhm.
We have to learn to love these new things of ourselves, whether they're dark or good. So self love can be anything that really makes us, like you said, that makes us comfortable being being ourselves, like just being
Mhm.
in the world. um I feel like you should always be comfortable being authentically yourself though. You should
Right.
always be happy and comfortable with it, but it is a process. It's not going to just happen overnight, and it's
Mhm.
something that has to be worked on. So yeah, work
Mhm.
on it maybe.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people, I put up a post not too long ago that basically talked about the perception of perfection.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of times people are misled by what society thinks perfection is. I look at you and I think you're perfect
Mhm.
because, and I look at myself and I feel like I'm perfect because um, there's vision. There's vision there.
Yeah.
Anytime there's vision and there's good things being built up. You got all these bricks of good things being built up. Of course, you're going to be a human. Of course, you're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
Of course, people aren't going to like you along the way, but you're building. You're not sitting on your hands. You're not blaming anybody for any mishaps. You are trailblazing no matter what. Because 2 years ago, we could have given up.
Yep.
We could have given up yesterday, but we forge forward because we know that that's the only way that we're going to get to anything that we may want out of this life.
But see, I have to say
We
something. You said something about giving up. Let me tell you, when you have the right people around you, you can't give up.
because you know they're depending on you,
You
and you're
can you
depending
can give
on
up if you don't have the right circle. If you're around some bums,
them.
I
Yeah,
don't mean to be. If you're around some bums, you can give up because
yes,
the bums don't have any expectation. If I was
yeah.
to write a post right now and says Toki Streets is now closing, how
Yeah. I would
do you
cry
think that would
because I'd
last?
be like, well, I needed that though.
So like if you wrote a poem today, it wrote a message today and said, "Hey, I'm no longer doing poems anymore."
Right.
Do you understand? People will be like, "What?" They might have never come to your show. They might have never, but they would be pressed.
Yes,
Okay.
it's true.
So when you have the right circle around you, and giving up is not an option. That's why it's so important to have the right people around you to give you that boost. Like you're good. You're good.
Mhm, mhm.
We're not giving up.
We're not. We're
We're
not.
not.
We have work to do. We have work to do because, we've seen
Hmm.
our trailblazers before. We know what they accomplish. Those are examples that we need to keep.
Hmm.
And it's not easy. It's not easy trying to, break generational curses. It's not easy to unify, but why sit down and not do it just because it's something that's so hard to do? That's where I find
Hmm.
satisfaction is if I see
Hmm.
something's hard or somebody tells me they don't think I can do it, or
I'm doing it.
say for instance, they look at me like, why are
I'm
you
doing
doing
it.
it? Okay, fine, then I'm gonna show you, baby.
Watch me.
But
And that's
at
why
the,
I have my podcast. And that's why I
even
have a podcast because
yes, my
of that
parents,
situation. You can't
even
tell me I
my
can't do something.
parents, my parents tell me, and I get it. I love them so much because
Hmm.
they got my back no matter what, and they're smart, and they're part of a lot of the reason why I have the mindset that I have. They're amazing people, but they let society scare them. And so a lot of times that trickles into our discussions. And I tell them all the time, I say, you raised a strong woman. If you don't believe in me, that means you never believed in yourself.
Mm.
And they
So
can't
let me
take
give
it.
you a. Can I give you a different perspective on that? What
Mhm.
if What if they do that because they know that's how you need to be motivated? What if God put your parents in your life because they knew that is how you would be motivated? If your parents weren't the way that they were, would you be where you are right now? Would
Oh
you
no,
be?
no, no. Yes,
And
I
I'm not
agree.
saying it like. I'm sorry.
No, no, I agree wholeheartedly because
Mhm.
there is a story behind that.
Mm.
There is a,
Mhm.
that's going in a book, but there is a
I'm ready for it. I'm here.
strong story behind
Yeah.
everything there. And your girl is I'm a survivor.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's why I go so hard for people that I love and fellow artists and things like that is because, you know, um, support was a huge thing for me leading
Mm.
up to this point. And there were times where I didn't have it. I could have been better. And you know how you said you have to have a good circle. Well, when you're an adolescent, and you don't really know much about the environment already, and the people that are supposed to be taking care of you are just working and not paying attention to you, and you know that that can surely cut a person down, because I know for a fact I didn't want to do anything artistically because I didn't have the support I needed.
Mm, mm, mm,
So
This
what did
was
I
this
do?
was just
A
a
chunk
conversation.
a chunk of my life was taken away as an artist because people didn't know how to support me,
Mm,
and that hurts. So when I tell you that when I deal with people and I see that they have a talent, I see that they have passion, I just want to hug on them. I just want to help them. I want to, let them know that I'm a safe space for them, and I'm going to
ooh,
support them. And when I get the opportunity to give something to them that is tangible, it's going to be because I want to see them win.
mm.
And I
Girl, do
want
you know that's how
to win.
we walk around all of our
Yeah.
circles, right?
Yes.
I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm trying to support you and love on you. I know how that feels to come up and not have that support and not have somebody in your corner, to not have somebody rooting you on, for you to do it by yourself, for you not to be motivated because who are you doing it for? For you to have your own your own mental shit and you don't have to it's a lot, and
Yes.
I think that people forget that. So we need to, and I encourage people. I will sit down and be a person for my worst enemy. I don't give a shit because I
Right.
know how that feels. I know how that
Mhm.
feels alone. Like
Mhm.
seriously, be alone in your own shit. That stuff that sucks. And
Mhm.
once you hit that kind of rock bottom where no one else is around you, no, you're doing it all by yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's all you, right?
Mm.
You get to a point where, hold on, I know there's other people like this out there that's just like me. I
Mhm.
know there's people out there that are struggling doing it, and I'm going to be there for you. So
Mm.
there's artists that we both know that we see it on Facebook. Oh, this artist is going something. Everybody helps them.
Mhm.
Oh, that's why I
Mhm.
love the artist community, right? Oh, this person.
Mhm.
Oh, are you good? Oh,
Mm.
are you all right? That's what I
Right.
mean.
Right.
Circle. If I send
Mhm.
if I do a message and I say, I'm struggling, do you understand
Mhm.
every person that has my number will be hitting me up
Mhm.
it,
Wow.
to make sure you're okay. And that's the kind of circle that we are in, right?
Mhm.
We're in that
Yeah.
type of space and we have this type of, and we might not talk every day. We
Right.
might not sit down and break bread all the time. But
Mhm.
our community is so tight that
Do you
we
remember do you remember the photo shoot and how beautiful that was? Not just the
oh
shoot
yes.
itself, but how we
The everybody was speaking. It was such a good vibe. We were bumping each other up. We were telling each other how beautiful we were. And
Yes.
it wasn't in a
Yes.
space where it was
Yes.
in a such comfortable space. Black women just
Yes.
and a black man. I'm gonna get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A couple
All
and
pushing.
some babies and some
Thank
little
you. And
kids.
something we
Yeah.
was pumping each other up. We was there in that space. It was so
Yes.
beautiful. It was so
Yes.
beautiful and
And
simple.
it was so I know that it had gone out like we were doing it, but it was so impromptu, like it
Mhm,
wasn't, and everyone wore exactly what they felt
mhm.
comfortable, and that was beautiful to me. Everybody looked so
I
nice.
know. Like
And
I was like, I don't know
everybody
you.
is so like on their grind in that picture. It just makes my heart happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People coming together and doing positive things.
We're all
That
business owners or doing stuff in our communities, or we're all doing all of those women on those pictures were in Pittsburgh that were doing their shit, that were
uh,
really getting it. And I love that. I thought that was beautiful.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was
I
beautiful.
love bragging about community. I love bragging about that
Oh,
because I feel like it's slept on. Don't you feel like it's slept on? Like,
yes, I
you
do.
know, the we're more powerful in numbers, and that's just point blank. Period. That's point
Oh,
blank. Period.
absolutely. So I agree. It's only going to get bigger. Our community here is only going to get bigger. But we're going to
I
get into a couple other questions because I don't want to keep you for too much
oh
longer.
oh.
We're going to get to the fun questions because we've had a really good conversation, and
Mhm.
one of the things that my I talk to in my live is what a sapiosexual is, right?
Mhm.
And we've had intelligent conversation this far, and we talked about these beautiful women that we did the photo shoot with, and how educated they are,
Mm.
and what I don't know if you know what a sapiosexual is, right?
Yes, yes, I
Uh-huh.
do.
Finding intelligence um,
Mhm.
sexually attractive, right,
Mm.
and being turned on by intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So this
Like,
idea of oh, go ahead. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. What was the question? I got
Like
excited. I'm sorry.
this this idea of power in words, right? The power
Uh-huh.
and how words are so sexy. I even wrote down a little thing. I said
Mhm.
the sexiness of being intelligent, right? This
Mm.
of of you know being able to speak your mind, the
Mm.
sexiness of words, right? So that I consider myself a sapiosexual. You have to get to my brain and really understand my brain before I can be attracted to you or there's anything going any further, right?
Mhm.
Um, what does intelligent, do you find that intelligent arouses you, or do you know anyone who also or is a sapiosexual? And how do you use words to, you know, empower them or attract them?
Well,
I know that's
you
hard.
know,
And
over
I don't just
over
mean in a sexual way. I mean in
mhm.
all
Yeah,
ways. Right?
I have to use I think we all have to use verbal communication um and written communication, but it seems like written communication is way more prevalent now because we're in a digital age where everyone is doing emails, messenger, DMs, and
Mhm.
written communication across the board in institutions, corporations, schools. Written communication is absolutely in the highest demand
Mm.
because of COVID. There's so much going on written that if you're a wise person, you're going to use it to your advantage in any situation. Now with me, I've learned that my written communication is important because I'm dealing with a very wide range of people across the board. And for me, you can either turn me off completely, or you can completely turn me on and pique my interest with just the way you approach me in written form.
Mm.
So that to me in itself tells me that I'm definitely a sapiosexual, and I pay close attention to cues and clues when it comes to emotional intelligence, because I can feel like you are sapio all day long, but do you manage that in a way that incorporates an emotional
Mm.
attachment or awareness as well? Because there's a lot of times you will come into contact with people that are very, very educated. They're very, wise, and but at the same time, they don't know how to humanize their interaction with you. And I myself, I love human connection. So if I see that you're sapio as well, if you're intelligent, and then you also balance that with an emotional intelligence and connection, you are instantly somebody that I admire in the moment. I fall
Yes.
in love very instantly. And it's not, oh, I want to lay down with you. It's not that.
No.
I fall in love with people daily.
Yes,
And
daily.
it could be the same person that I've known for years, and then they may say something or they may recognize something, and I'm like, whoa,
Mm.
I just fell in love with you just now.
Yeah.
I am such that's where my satisfaction comes from.
Mm.
I cannot deal with a person who doesn't take the time to learn, who doesn't take the time to recognize, human interaction and what it means, and the how sacred it is.
Yep.
Human interaction is survival as well, because a lot of what we need comes from other human beings. We need hugs, we
I'm
need
sorry.
love. Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's why. No, just to stop because I don't want to lose my train.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That I think that you hit on something. You said that like written communication is like
Mhm.
really in demand, but I think because of that, it verbal communication is taboo and it is sexy and wanted,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So
It is.
even though you have you have this written communication, verbal communication, if somebody look, I'm so used to somebody sending me a text, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or if somebody's able to sit in my space and have an intelligent conversation with me, right?
Hmm.
And be able to emotionally connect and emotionally, validate my feelings, I'm validating theirs, we're having a conversation, then that is the sexiest thing in the world. And I mean that platonically and romantically. It
Oh
is
yeah.
so freaking sexy to have someone
Hmm.
and just have a
Hmm.
conversation with them that doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily end in sex, right?
Hmm.
Doesn't even need to do that because
Hmm.
it's that heightened, that wow, like whoa,
Hmm.
this person is dope, like this person's
That's
amazing.
why that's why I get so upset with society today, because we're watching this crap unfold before our eyes, where women are saying, if he ain't got money, I don't want to be with him. Men are saying, if she don't have a nice ass, big titties, and a pretty face, I don't want to be with her. There's so much surface shit going on with that, to where it's sad, because when you go to actually live with that person in society, or if you decide to take on a partner and you're out in society, if they don't have something going on in that noggin that lies on the on their shoulders, you're in trouble.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the suffrage comes in, is because people are looking at surface things. One of the things that I always like, people find weird with me, is that I could see a good looking man all day. I could see somebody is breathtaking to the next girl, but I can't say I'm attracted to you. I cannot, until I know,
Hmm.
like yeah, I noticed your locks and you look good,
Hmm.
but I'm not all the way attracted to you until we have that conversation and I see where your head is.
I talk about this on my live, surface level dating, right? But
Yes.
let me
Yes.
tell you about surface level dating. In addition to this, like dating because you like their hair or something like that,
Hmm.
you also have to be authentically yourself and be honest with yourself, right? So what I find that people do is, let's say that my thing is I want a woman with long locks, right? That's
Hmm.
my see, that's my desire, that's what I want. But then I have this beautiful woman, right? Who doesn't have locks. She has all of these things, great qualities, but she doesn't have locks. So maybe my attraction isn't physical attraction, maybe isn't as high. I'm just using locks as right. So maybe my
Hmm.
physical attraction isn't as high as it could be. And
Hmm.
I stay in that relationship. And then I meet another person, and I'm just general. I meet another person, right? And they have locks, and they have some, the qualities I need, right? I might leave that person for that person because locks. Instead of being honest, like this is what I want, but this comes with knowing yourself. This is what I want, and that's what I want. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to compromise, because what happens is once you get into relationships, you compromise, and
Hmm.
that's what messes things up. I shouldn't have to compromise. Eartha Kitt said it best: compromise.
Hmm.
Compromise? Bitch, I'm
Hmm.
not doing that. I should be able
Hmm.
to be authentically myself. And if I like big butts, then I should only date people with big butts. But people, they'll be like, oh, I like big butts, but I'm going to date this girl with a small butt. Like, what? No, it's not going to work. You're not getting.
Hmm.
So we have to keep that in mind too. And I talk about that on my live. Is I did it a couple, like I guess about a month ago. I asked
Mm.
all the people in my live to go onto their social media if they were single, to go, or if they're in a relationship, to go on their social media and to write a list of exactly rate 5 things that are your non-negotiables that you want from your partner. And I'm not talking about honesty and loyalty and oh, I'm talking about the nitty gritty. I'm talking about when you close your eyes and you think of the perfect person for you, right? What does that person look like? And
Oh,
you want to know?
yeah.
Yeah,
If I
exactly.
do that, I just might get it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, right, right, right. You just might get it, right? You just might actually get what you
No,
actually
quit
want.
playing with
Because
me.
if you go on social media right now and you say, I want this, and this, and you press it. I mean, with every person that sends you a DM, you put, do you have these? Do you have these? Do you have these? Or whatever, and you do that, you're gonna get what you want because all you gotta do is ask for it. And you know what? You know what happened?
I'm dying
Out of,
right now.
out of all the people that was in my live stream, I think maybe 1 or 2 did it. A young lady came into my room yesterday and said, "Because of what you did, I just found the woman of my dreams." You understand?
Dead. I'm dead. I'm see, this is why
So,
I just
but people are embarrassed. People are embarrassed and have shame. They have shame around what they want. They have shame around what they actually want. So they don't do it. If you say I'm a sapiosexual, right? I'm a sapiosexual. So I only want to date somebody with emotional and their intelligence, right? They have to have this intelligence to arouse me. But then I date somebody and they have money and they can take me out to eat and they can stuff like that. But they can't hold a conversation with me and they don't listen to anything I say. Why
Mhm.
am I talking to them? This is a
Right.
waste of my energy.
Exactly.
Why am I
Exactly.
doing this?
Yes. Yes.
Like, this is dumb. I don't want to
Yep.
do this.
Yep.
So that's what I mean by we compromise in relationships. And it could be because of
Mhm.
bullying or whatever, but we compromise, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So these are things like I would challenge you, even if you're even if you're in a relationship, maybe you don't post it if you're in a relationship, but
Mhm.
writing down exactly what you want. Exactly, because we have to be honest in our writing, right? We got to be honest
Mm.
when we write something down.
Mm.
You got to be honest. You can't lie on a
Mm.
piece of paper because it's you. You're by yourself, right?
Girl, I've been writing about this man every day, so I
Oh,
know.
okay. Thank you. So you write it down. You say, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are my non-negotiables of what I
Right.
want.
Uh-huh.
I am willing to negotiate everything else.
Mhm.
Everything else I could do. Because there's some women in my life, I said it. Okay, so is cheating one of your, can they cheat? And some of the women will like, if they have all 5 things, then it could, like I could like I could maybe I'll forgive them like 3 times.
Mhm.
You know? Oh, if they have because I tell people all the time, you cannot find somebody who gives you 100% of what you need. There's no such thing.
Mhm.
It doesn't exist. So somebody's going to give you 80% of what you need, but that 20% you got to do on your own.
Mhm.
You got to find it on your own.
Mhm.
So what is that 80% that they have to have, right?
Right.
So one of the things that they have to have for me is they have to be able to be intelligent, and they have to be able to get me mentally.
Mhm.
And my intelligence by myself turns me on.
Mhm.
My own intelligence turns me on, right? So of course I would want somebody else to be intelligent. Can you understand that, right? Does your intelligence turn you on?
My so I'm noticing that I do turn like really, but really that's an embarrassing acknowledgement. That's an
Hmm.
embarrassing wait, listen.
Okay.
Because sometimes, I'm like, gosh dang girl, the way you just said that, the way you just handled, girl, I just want to rub on you.
Mhm. Yeah.
But no, I'm not talking masturbation. I don't, I'm
No,
not
not
like
like that.
that.
No,
but
but
I
like I
just,
want to love
I
on you.
want to hug, because I don't do the math. See, this is on live. This is being heard. Oh my God.
No, but we talk about this too. There's a bunch of people that don't masturbate. It's the whole thing.
But,
Like there's
you
a bunch of
know,
people that
I
don't.
feel like, I love just how I move and how I interact with people. And, I love how I love on people, and I love how, my kids, and I'm just so in love with the woman that I've become. And we talked earlier about the inner child.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk to my inner child because my inner child tells me, if I got through what I got through at my age, then you can get through what you're getting through now. So quit
Mm-hmm.
complaining. Quit complaining, put your big girl pants on and get this, whatever it is, together. Because she is so proud of me, I feel like. I don't own a big ass house in the suburbs. I don't own the nicest car in the neighborhood. I don't wear the bestest clothes ever. I've had babies. My body is like beautiful still, even though it has stretch marks and whatever. But I love where I'm at. I love who I've become. I love what I've accomplished. And I never say that to be boastful, but I say it because it took me a while to get here. It took me a while to see that no matter what anybody else is doing, saying, whatever, like you said earlier, I have to make sure that I am making it so that I am good for me. There's
Mm-hmm.
people relying on me. I have to be the best that I can be. And fortunately, I've gotten to that place where I'm at peace with who I am. I'm at peace with where I've come from. I'm at peace with my interactions. I feel like everybody that has come to me, or they're in my life for a reason, whether they've left or stayed. I am so turned on by Blossom Nicole.